Hi everyone, it's Chris, back in my cider shed with another cider to try. And what is it today? Well, it's another one from Templars Choice. I've got a box delivered. We've done 2 so far. Now we're going to do number 3. Which one is it? I'll tell you. It is the Late Harvest cider. Late Harvest cider. So usually, I think with apples generally they give sort of early, middle and late sort of ripening, harvest. So good thing about that, you don't have to pick them all at once, because if everything got ripe at the same time, it'd be right well pain in the arse, because you have to pick them all at the same time. It's a lot of work. I'd have to press them all together and blah blah blah. Anyway, so you have early ripeners, mid-season ripeners and late season ripeners. I think the later ones tend to have a bit more, just a bit bolder, a bit more tannic, a bit more going on, a bit more russet if you like. So yeah, let's see what this cider is like. We liked the dry that we tried, was the first one, which was keeved in a champagne style bottle like this. We then liked the next one, which was much more English in style. In fact, I bet my life that that is in fact an English style cider. And they're making it because Adam Bland is English. And his dad was a cider maker in Gloucestershire. And as of the 1960s. And then in the early 90s, Adam bought a cider farm in Normandy, Pérouge, and so I make cider there. So he made the trip from England to Normandy, which is very unusual. I've said this in the last couple of videos. Unusual, very unusual. So, pop, good sound, good sound. Let's pour it out, check it out. Okay, it's going to have a good mousse on it, no doubt, and indeed it does. In fact, I'm going to have to wait a bit to pour some more of this out. This bottle is getting cold. It's cold in the shed at the moment. I'm freezing. I'm wrapped up to the nines. I'm still freezing cold. I've got a thermal on, t-shirt, scarf, jumper. Still cold, still cold. Right, that'll do. So these guys are in the sort of camembert livreux part of the world. So cheese part of the world. I've got some cheeses knocking about. I'm not going to do it tonight, but I'll get some cheese out for the next one. We'll give it a go. I've got some, what have I got? Well, camembert, I don't have livreux, I don't have, but brie de meaux I do have. And that's very closely related to camembert in many respects. So maybe I'll get a bit of brie de meaux in the shed. We'll have that with the next cider that we try. There's also a Perry to try I've got from him as well. So let's have a look. Quite pale gold. Nothing like as dark as the listed is. I think it's actually paler than the first one that we had as well. So I'd say that's a hazy straw gold, I would call that. Nice looking, obviously unfiltered, keeved, so fine to take out proteins so the yeast can't finish fermentation. So you have residual sweetness and lower alcohol. And what is the alcohol? Is it 5.5? It was 5.5 in the others. 3% ABV. 3% ABV. Wowzers. That's interesting. That's really interesting. That's cool, actually. I like that. I like low ABV. It's great. I mean, you can drink more of it. The thing with cider and perry, you often can't tell how strong it is when you're drinking it. So I expect this to have some reasonable residual sweetness if it's only got down to 3% in the late harvest. Well, they should certainly develop plenty of sugar in them and so forth. You know? All right. Let's give it a sniff. Bloody cold. I left them outside, but it's actually colder outside than in the fridge at the moment, so they're way too cold. I do this every single time. I should let them warm up a bit. Never do. Apologies. Well, anyway, let's try it. Let's give it a sniff anyway. Oh, lovely. Lovely. Got like a green sort of element to it. I feel like there's a green, fresh element to it. Bag loads of apple. Loads of it. Apple pie filling. That's what it makes you think of. Yeah. Not tartar-tan, but baked apple that's come out of a pie. It's quite different. It doesn't have that burnt character you get with tartar-tan, like caramelisation. Lovely. Lovely nose. Yeah, really good. I mean, fresh. Almost like a green apple smell as well, actually. Certainly once an apple has been freshly cut in half and you're smelling it immediately. That kind of thing. Good stuff. Slightly sort of, maybe slightly dairy, honeyed character as well. Very slightly. Yep. All right. Let's give it a taste. Super bubbly. And yes, it did have more residual sweetness than certainly the one we had yesterday, but let's disregard that. I don't think it was keeved. I think it was an English style cider. The first one, the dry, now it's dry, so you'd expect it to be less sweet. It doesn't say on this whether it's sweet or dry, but it is indeed, I'd say on the sweeter end. But it's natural sugars from the apple. It's not been sweetened. It's just residual sugar. almost a hint on the nose of New Wellington boot, which is a smell I, as a person who was a cheesemonger for like 20 plus years, 25 years, whatever it was, whatever it is. Been through a lot of Wellington boots, and I recognise that smell, and I feel like I'm just getting a hint of it off this, just a hint. So yeah, sweet, light, expect to be sweet because it's only 3%. Got some tannins as well. Yeah, welly boot, sort of volcanic sulphurousness as well, a little bit of that. I don't mind the sweetness in this. I personally like it. It's low in acidity, as Keith ciders generally are, which is one of the main characteristics of yesterday's cider, the last video cider that made me think it certainly didn't feel French at all. It had much bolder acidity. Low in acidity, but solid tannins, has some sweetness, nice bubbles. I mean, this is light and delicate and sweet. It makes me think of like a Moscato or something like that, an Italian low alcohol, relatively sweet wine. It's got that sort of character, but there is that lovely kind of sugary apple character to it, which is very pleasant. Oh, totally quaffable. You can drink shed loads of this, and you could. It's only 3%. And this is massively low ABV, but much more interesting than. I mean, what if you got like a beer that was 3%? Probably wouldn't have a great deal of flavour. Chances are it wouldn't. Things like session IPAs, which consistently let me down because they smell really hoppy and aromatic. You drink them and they're just kind of insipid, you know. So it's just, it builds itself up just to disappoint. Well, something like this doesn't do that at all. It's light, fresh, it's green. It's like an aperitif, basically, is what this is. For something that's only 3%, thumbs up, thumbs up. It isn't super complex. It isn't. But I'm not going to mark it down for that because I think for something which is so light, it's got enough going on, it's complex enough, it has the tannins. Yeah, not a bad drink. I think I want something with a little bit of saltiness with it, though. Actually, cheese. Cheese! I probably should have had the cheese with this one. So there you go. That is the Templars Choice Latest Harvest Naturally Sparkling Keeved Cider from Normandy. And we'll carry on tomorrow in the next film with some more stuff from Templars Choice. So until then, thank you for joining me in my freezing cold shed. I'll see you again soon, I hope. Cheers.